Sisters, near and far. Do you still not know who you are? You are a daughter of promise, of royalty and more. Beautiful, regal, spiritual, and someone to adore. You are my mother, my sister, my friend, the one who will stick with me to the end. You will be there for the highs in my life, and you won't abandon me when there's trouble and strife. Let go of the past. You can do it, you know. It doesn't have to define who you are or how far you can go. This is a new day. Claim it and soar. Set your sights on Jesus now more than ever before. He is and has always been the answer, you know. But you must decide to choose him and never let go. He will surely wipe those tears away, erase that heartache, and give you peace. You were never meant to travel this road alone, so reach out and grab your help. He's always been there, you see, waiting for you to realize your destiny. So go about your way with love and thanksgiving in your heart, knowing that whatever is going on in your life, whether drama or strife, things could be so much worse. I'm here for you, my sister, so let us laugh, love, and uplift each other, knowing that sometimes our dreams are wrapped up in the lives of others. You must truly believe that when the praises go up, the blessings come down. And our God is so awesome that there's more than enough of everything to go around. So there is no need to worry, fuss, or fret. God is definitely not through yet.
Hello. Welcome to Tap In Thursday. It is Women's Month. November is always Women's Month in ATN Ministries. So all month long we are, excuse me, you guys know when I'm back here I'm doing multiple things. Hold on one second. Okay. Bear with me 1 second while I finish getting set up. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Here you go. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. Let me switch because I need my notes is on this one. Bear with me 1 second, you guys, while I get set up. I'm still getting set up. So I can see your comments come up. Can you guys hear me? You said you need a, hold on, you can log in. Oh, hold on 1 second. I don't even know if it's still on this one. Oh, here. Let me log in. So November is Women's Month in ATN Ministries. And all month long, we are having women preach. We are having those that preach, talk about women in the Bible and how we can uplift ourselves as women. And I'm sorry, it's not just women preachers, because as you know, Apostle started us out on Women's Month. So we are definitely, okay, here you go. Okay, so hi y'all. How y'all doing? I feel like we haven't been online in a while. And we just was on here Sunday. So I am going to talk about today, about a woman that is not very many may know who she is or even have studied her before. So I'm going to jump right in. But at first, I want to give honor to our apostle, Apostle Tevin Neal. Give honor to all of ATN Ministries and all of our members and our ministry team in their respective places. I'm trying to figure out why I cannot see you all's comments coming up. I see certain ones popping up. Now they're starting to pop up. So did you want to log in as yours possible? You want to leave it as that? Apostle is logged in under me, you guys. So when you see my name popped up, I should have let him log in as his. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it. I can just see certain comments. Yeah, on StreamYard. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the comments worked out. I can only see certain ones popping up here. I can see all the ones popping up on Facebook, but on our app, I can only see certain people. 1 second. Oh no, that's not it. Mm-mm. Like I can't see. Yeah, it only shows me certain ones, and it might be where it's being viewed at. But nevertheless, we're gonna carry it on. I do have my phone, so if there's any questions, Apostle does see them. If you guys have any questions, this is Bible study. By all means, post your questions, post your comments, and let's get started. I can see who's online. God bless you. Me see. I can see Prophetess Ruth. God bless you. God bless you, Siobhan. I can't see who else is on. Tanisha, I think I see Tanisha. I can't see who else is on. So God bless you guys. Prompt comments on StreamYard. I do have them prompted. Bishop Hayes. God bless you, Bishop. Bishop Kent Hayes. I do have them prompted for some reason. I never usually have any problems out of them, so I'm not quite sure why all of them. God bless you, Sister Caroline. Now I can start seeing certain ones, but again, and it may be it's streaming on 3 different. You just seen Tanisha commented. I haven't. It hasn't popped up on here yet. It is streaming on 3 different pages, so it could be that some pages are allowing comments to show up and some are not, but it's okay. I can see them all through Facebook. So if you don't see your comment post, pop on StreamYard, you know why I can't see it on here, but I can see it on Facebook. So anyway, we're going to jump right in. If you would join me in 1 Samuel 25. This is Bible study, so we are definitely going to study the Bible tonight. We are in 1 Samuel 25. I am going to do a synopsis on verses 1 through probably about 18. I'm just going to tell you the story that's going on. And then I will jump into the scripture that we're going to the part of the scriptures that we're going to be dealing with tonight. Okay, so 1 Samuel 25. If you know the story of Abigail, Abigail was married to a man named Nabal. And just to give you a synopsis of this story and where and what's taking place in this, um, this story is about 1 Samuel 25 was about David, King David, Nabal, and Abigail. Okay, so what happens is King David. Um, well, let me back up a little bit before I even start there. Let me just start here. So King David is at this time in the fields, and while he's in these fields, he is coming along side of a group of servants, and these servants are out there tending to sheep and things of that sort. So King David and his men are out there in this same field, and so where this story picks up at is that uh, Nabal is a rich man. He's rich in many different areas. He has a lot of cattle. He has a lot of things. He has a lot of wealth. He is materialistically rich. We know that there's different areas that you can be rich in, but for this story, he's materialistically rich, and so he's married to a woman named Abigail. And so those were Nabal's servants that were out in the fields with King David. And so King David and his men found themselves in need. They were in need of a blessing. They were in need of food. They were in need of materials. They were in need of some things. And so because they had protected Nabal's sheep and they had protected Nabal's servants, he decides that I'm going to take 10 of my men and I'm going to send them over to Nabal, and I'm going to ask him for a blessing. I'm going to ask him if he can help meet our need, being that I took care of his people out here, right? So King David sends 10 men over to Nabal, and his men go over to him in David's name, and they humbly ask, they say, Nabal, we're servants of King David. And they don't use the word king, we're servants of David. And he has sent us to you to say that he has protected your servants. He's protected your sheep. No harm came to them. Nothing came up missing. And so for that, he is asking if you have a blessing. Can you please help your servant with anything that you may have? Because again, they're hungry. They're in need, right? They haven't eaten. And so he begins to ask the men, again, on his behalf, to go to Nabal in humility and ask for some help, right? How many of y'all ever went to somebody in humility and asked for some help? Mm-hmm. Right? How many of y'all ever had to be in a position where you're hungry and you have no other choice but to ask somebody else for help, right? And so this is what's happening to David. So he sends his men over there, and they, tell them what David told them to tell them. And so now they're waiting on a response. So Nabal's response was not one that you would expect, especially when he has everything that David needs at that moment, materialistic wise, right? So he asks him, please give whatever comes to your hand to your servant. And so Nabal's response to that was harsh. Now, let me back up and tell you a little bit about Nabal. Nabal's described as mean and surly in the Bible. He's described as someone that has evil doings in his dealings. Now, mind you, he's a businessman and he's rich, but he's described as someone who has evil doings in his business, right? For no reason at all. There's no reason for him to be that type of person, right? So David goes to him in all humility, asks for help. And so his response to them is, who is David? Who is this son of Jesse? Who am I to give the things that I have to him? Am I just supposed to give them to anybody? There's servants nowadays running off from their masters. So who am I to help him? Now, check this out. David was no stranger to nobody. There was nobody who didn't know who David was. They knew he killed a giant. They knew he was crowned king. They knew all of these things, anointed king, excuse me. They knew that he had killed many men. David wasn't a stranger. But this just goes to tell you, just because I know who you are, just because I know the anointing on your life, just because I know God has called you to be a certain person, doesn't mean that I have to recognize it. People always disrespect who God has called you to be when they don't recognize who you are in God. And so that's what Nabal did. Nabal didn't recognize that King David was in fact that King David. He didn't recognize the anointing on his life. He didn't recognize who God had called him to be. He didn't recognize any of that. He said, "Who is David?" And it's not that he didn't know who David was. He just chose to disrespect him by not recognizing who he was. And so, mind you, David ain't ate. He hungry. And so David's response to Nabal's insult was, "Men, gird up your swords." Now, mind you, David sent 10 men down there in humility. But now he going to return with 400 men in anger. And so that's where we're going to pick up at. That's going to take us to 1 Samuel 25 and 18. This is where Abagail comes in the picture. This is where Abagail picks up in where she comes in. Now, remember, it's Women's Month, so we're studying women, and we're talking about different women in the Bible. And what I want to take out of Abagail is, first of all, we all need a little bit of Abagail in our life. We all need to find ourselves in Abagail, and we all need a Abagail in our life. And so for that, I have a title of a timely character. How many of y'all know character is everything? Character is everything. And at some points of the Bible, we see different characteristics of David. We see where David knew the call on Saul's life. And so while David had the opportunity to kill Saul, he knew that he was king. And the Bible said, "Touch not thy anointed." So he knew he was not supposed to touch God's anointed. So he didn't kill Saul, even though Saul gave him all the reason to. We see when we fast forward to this point, David is like, "Oh, okay, Nabal, you want a trip." So now he's telling his men, get your stuff. Let's go down here and show him what he's looking for. David is hungry. He hasn't eaten. His men haven't eaten. See, sometimes we can let our circumstances take us to the point where people will take you out your character and make you respond in a way that you would not normally have responded had you not been hungry, had you not been frustrated, had you not been dealing with your circumstances. But this is what I learned, and I'm preaching to my own self right now. It don't matter what your circumstances are. You should never let nobody take your character back to some place that you've been delivered from. You should never let anybody, anything, any situation allow your character to respond in a manner that's not Christ-like. And we know that's easier said than done because we all got flesh. We all have flesh. So David's response in all of his hunger, in all of his frustration, in all of his humility. Remember, he went to him in humility first. And when that didn't work, I guess he said the sword works better than a humble, kind gesture. So this is where Abigail picks up. This is where my friend Abigail picks up, right? So let's I'm going to teach 5 points that we can all learn from Abigail. Hold on, let me grab my notes, ladies and gents. So Abigail picks up in 18, right? Let me jump down to 18. Y'all know me, I have notes everywhere. So 1 Samuel 25:18 says, Then Abigail hurried and took 200 loaves of bread. Let me back up for a second. So Abigail didn't know what was going on, right? So one of the servants, after Nabal sends his response back to David, one of the servants went to Abigail. They went to Abigail and they said, Hey, King David came to us in his humility and asked for some help. He protected our people, and he was one of the people that was out there, and he said, and he treated us really well. And he said, and this is what Nabal has said to him. Now, because everybody know who David is and what David had accomplished for the Lord, they were afraid. They were afraid that David was going to do exactly what they had heard about David doing, which was come and kill them. So they went to Abigail and said, What can you do? Please take this information that I've given you and do something. So the Bible says, Then Abigail hurried and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 jugs of wine, 5 sheep already prepared, 5 measures of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. Then she said to her young men, Go ahead of me. Behold, I am coming after you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. It happened that as she was riding on her donkey and coming down by way of the hidden part of the mountain, that suddenly David and his men were coming down toward her, and she met them. Now David said, Surely in vain I have protected and guarded all that this man has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missing of all that belonged to him. And he has repaid me evil for good. May God do so to the enemies of David, and more also, if by morning I leave alive even one male of any who belong to him. When Abigail saw David, she hurried and dismounted from the donkey and kneeled face downward before David and bowed down to the ground in respect. Kneeling at his feet, she said, My Lord, let the blame and guilt be on me alone. And please let your maidservant speak to you and listen to the words of your maidservant. Please do not let my Lord pay attention to this worthless man, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Now remember, Nabal's name means fool. So basically, he's saying he's his namesake. He's doing exactly what his name said he is, being foolish. Nabal is his name, and foolishness, stupidity is with him. But I, your maidservant, did not see my Lord's young men whom you sent. So she's telling him, I didn't see the people that you sent. I didn't encounter them. If I had encountered them, we would have a different outcome. So now, my Lord, as the Lord lives, as your soul lives, since the Lord has prevented you from shedding blood and from avenging yourself by your own hand, now let your enemies and those who seek to do evil to my Lord be as self-destructive as Nabal. Now this gift which your maidservant has brought, my Lord, let it be given to the young men who accompany and follow my Lord. Please forgive the transgressions of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a secure and enduring house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil will not be found in you all your days. Should anyone rise up to pursue you and seek your life, then the life of my Lord will be bound in the precious bundle of the living with the Lord your God. Okay, so let's stop right there really quick. So she says, basically, she puts herself in front of her husband. She heeds the word that the servant has told her. And I named this a timely character because how many of you, I always say character is everything, right? But when you're dealing with character is nothing if you don't use it in the right time. I can have $1 million, but if I don't pay no bills with it, then what's going to happen? I'm still going to live as if I'm broke, right? So you can have a good character, but if you don't display it or utilize it when God needs you to, when God is calling you to, or for the reason and purpose that He has given it to you for, then what's the point? So the first thing that I learned about Abigail is she wasn't afraid and she moved quickly. Let's do it. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't afraid to worry about what people thought about her. She wasn't afraid to worry about what the other women were going to be thinking when she got down off that horse and kneeled in front of David. She wasn't afraid of even her husband or what he was going to think. She knew that there had been a wrong committed. And her character, the character that was in her, the godly character that was within her, needed to right that wrong. Right? So, what did she do? The Bible says she moved. Let me find 18 so I can back to it. She hurried. She moved with haste. She didn't wait to sit around to think about, well, should I or should I not? Do I or don't I? By the time, if she had waited, by the time she decided to do something, David would have been knocking at the door. And then it would have been too late. Abigail was a wise woman, and she did not boast in her wisdom. She did not boast in the decision that she made. She did not go and say, oh, let me do all of this. Let me go round up a posse. Let me do this. No, she acted in wisdom. Sometimes wisdom is moving in silence. Sometimes wisdom is just saying, I'm going to get the few people that I need to accomplish what I need to accomplish, and let's get it done. So she showed great wisdom in acting quickly. She showed wisdom in the way that she dismounted her horse and put herself in a place of humility and submission to David. She showed wisdom when she spoke to him honorably because she knew who he was. And here's a small part about this that I don't know. I've read this story several times, and sometimes you can read the Bible over and over and get a different revelation every time. But here's something that I never caught. She showed wisdom when she knew who David was. If you go back and you read the passages that I just read, she spoke to David's character. She spoke to who David was in God. She let him know, hey, I know who you are. I know that you fight God's battles for him. I know that you're an honorable man. And so she took her wisdom and she utilized that to tell David, hey, you are an honorable man. So don't let the character of Nabal put you in a place of dishonor. Don't let the character of Nabal take you out of an honorable place with God. Don't let somebody else's behavior, actions, circumstances take you out of the will of God. She knew what she was up against before she ever got to David. Women, God gives us a certain amount of wisdom just because we're women. God gives us a certain amount of, as we call them, women intuitions and all these other things, just because we are women. And there's beautiful things that God have instilled in us as women that the enemy will then try to come in and tank because we are women. People will say, oh, women gossip so much. Oh, this and this and that. Oh, this and this and that. All of these things, right? But those are natural things that God, has put in us that the enemy will then come in and distort. I love Abigail because, like I said, I've read this story several times, but it's never ministered to me in this manner because I am one of those people where I have certain things in my mind frame and my lifestyle that you just don't touch. You don't touch my kids, you don't touch my husband. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I will let things that they go through take me out of my character because I'll be ready to fight for them. And I have to learn how to use my wisdom and fight in a different manner. Sometimes it's okay to flip over tables. Jesus did. You just gotta know when. Use your wisdom to know when to flip them tables over. So she used her wisdom to appeal to David, to talk to David, to get his attention. Right? The second thing we can learn from Abigail, the second thing that we need to glean off of her and take from her, is she was humble and kind. She did not go to David to save her own head. She went to David to save those around her. She went to David to save her household, to save her kingdom, to save, because you have to realize David was coming with 400 men, and he said, may my enemies do to me if I do not do to Nabal what I plan to do to him. That was going to affect generations. He was talking about killing every male. So what do males do? They produce. They reproduce. So if he's talking about coming and killing all of them, he's killing off generations. This was not something small. This was something that was going to affect the whole lineage. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David. That's in 1 Samuel 25, about verse 23, 24. It takes courage to be humble. It takes strength to be humble. She didn't blame her husband. She actually took the blame off of her husband and put it on herself. Not only that, she begged for forgiveness for something that she had not even done. Remember, the scriptures that I read earlier said, basically saying, this is my fault. Blame me. Don't blame the man. It's my fault because I had not saw the men that you sent. You have to know that God is on your side. When you put yourself in a place of humility and subservience, she didn't know what David's response was going to be. And see, some of us as women, we don't want to be submissive. We don't want to be in a place where we have to feel like we are less than or weaker than. But we have to realize that humility and submission is our greater strength. She didn't know what David's response was going to be. David could have just kept on saying, he could have been like, well, we finna tear the club up anyway. I done already got it in my mind. My peoples has already got their swords. We ready to go. There's nothing that you can say to stop me. But it was her wisdom that said, no matter what his response is going to be, I am going to put myself in that place. And so we have to realize the strength that God has given us as women. We have to realize that portion of our lives, that portion of our being, that nurturing, that caretaker, that emotion that God has given us, that compassion that God has given us. We have to protect those things. We can't let the enemy come in and tear those things up, because we'll find ourselves leading with emotion instead of, listen, emotions don't lead. This is a side note. I don't know where the Lord going to. Emotions do not lead. They cannot lead. They should not lead. Anytime that you are an emotional leader, anytime that you're leading with emotions, everybody that's following you was going downhill. As my grandma used to say, you're going to hell with gasoline draws on. Did I say that on air? I done said it already. I hope that wasn't wrong, Jesus. But you can't allow your emotions. And it takes wisdom to understand that right now, while my feelings may be hurt, while I may be afraid, while I may be scared, while I may be angry, right now, the wisdom in me, that godly wisdom that God has put in me, will separate my emotion from the act of humility, from whatever action that I have to take. It's all right for your emotions to show up. It's all right for them to come to the party and say, hey, I'm angry. Hey, my feelings is hurt. Hey, I'm scared, but they can't stay. You have to put them in a position where you keep them in check. Abigail was a peacemaker at this moment. Her desire was to make peace within her household and within King David's army. We can't be so caught up in drama. We can't be so caught up in emotions that we go against a godly peace in order to keep the drama going, in order to prove a point. She could have went down there and said, my husband don't owe you nothing. Nobody asked you to take care of our people. We rich. We didn't need you to do that. She could have went down there a totally different way. But she didn't. The third thing that we can learn from Abigail, Miss Abagail, who I love so much, is our words and actions are powerful. You have to look at the bigger picture. I already said this, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I jumped ahead of myself on this part. Our words and our actions are powerful as women. How we carry ourselves, the way that we talk, the way that we walk, the things that we say, how we handle ourselves. It carries weight. And there's always a bigger picture. This is why Abigail used her wisdom and chose a play on words when it came to David. I'm going to pump you up, David. I'm going to let you know that I know who you are. I know my husband didn't recognize who you were, but I'm going to let you know that I know just who you are, just how important you are, what you are capable of. I'm going to let you know that I know that you serve a God. I'm going to let you know that I know that you're out there doing God's work. How many of y'all know that David was out there doing everything at that point in time that God had asked him to do, and he still was struggling? He still had 400 men up under him, and they was all hungry. Just because you're serving God and doing all that he's called you to do don't mean that your struggle ain't going to be real. I don't know why he took that little side note, but that's just what he said. So she chose her words and she played them well. Can you turn the air on, please? She played them well. You have to be careful as women in what we say. You have to be careful in the actions that we display. Because there's all these little women that are looking at everything that we do and that we say, first of all. But as a woman, how many of you have ever heard the cliche, when you go to a certain church, the first ladies is sitting on the front row with the big hats? right? Or on certain Sundays, they all got on white. Or the church mother got about 15 pounds of peppermints in her purse for you. You know where to go get the candy at, but you only gonna get peppermints because she ain't got nothing else. Right? These are all things that we have heard about women in churches, how they carry themselves, how they talk, how they act, right? That's why it's important for us to choose our words and realize that they're powerful. That's why it's important for us to understand that how we carry ourselves, that our character is everything. Let me see. Let me give you a good example of myself. When I was out in the street gang banging, it was certain verbiage and certain signs that I would say and then I would throw up. Okay? When I get to a certain level of anger, this is a true story. When I get to a certain level of anger, I have to stop myself from verbally saying some of those words from back in the day when I used to be out there gangbanging. Like, I have to be like, you can't say that. Don't say that because, right? Back then, those were the words that carried weight in that circumstance. But because God has delivered me from that, just because I'm delivered from gangbanging, don't mean I don't still know what sign to throw up. Don't mean I don't still know what word to say. It's just that those words don't carry any weight in a godly situation right now. So I could look at somebody and bang on them all day long in the church, and there it's not going to move them. But I can go down there on Alondra Boulevard and say the same thing, and it's going to carry some weight. When I go to certain places or I talk to certain people, when I go home and I visit certain things, it's always, remember when, girl, remember when, remember this, remember that. I have memories that come up on Facebook. Some of them I can't share because it was back in the day for my pre-saved days. And it's like, remember when? None of that carries weight. Those words are no longer powerful in my godly situation. Those words do not align with my godly character. And so the circumstance that Abagail was in prompted her godly character. That's why a timely character is everything. It's everything. You have to tap in. How did she get this godly character? It was in her. I just don't learn how to say certain ugly stuff, right? I don't learn how to just say it overnight. How do I know that my favorite, one of my favorite things in the Bible is to always point out that Jesus turned tables over? How did I know when I get ready to act a fool that I'd be like, Jesus did it. He turned some tables over. How do I know to go there? I would have had to learn it. I would have had to hear it. I would have had to study it. I would have had to put it in me. Some of us cannot use our words to the magnitude that they're supposed to be used as is because we haven't put God in us. I can say all day long, oh, Krista, you healed. I can say that all day long. But if the God in me says it, if the God in me stands up and says, that's what it is, that's what I believe, and I say, Krista, you healed, and the God in me says it, I bet you she believe it.
I go to sleep.
So that's what Abigail did. Her words and her actions were timely for the bigger picture. And the bigger picture was what? She saved their lives. She saved their lives. The fourth thing that we can hear about, that we can take from Abigail, that we can glean from her as women, is always remember a true warrior is loyal and faithful. They think about others before they think about themselves. Abigail's loyalty to her husband, even in his wrongdoing, Abigail's loyalty to her people, Abigail's faithfulness to God is what sent her out there on that horse or donkey. Did they have horses? It was donkeys. Sent her out there on that donkey to get to King David. We have to remember as women, okay, so in 1 Samuel 25:30, it says, when the Lord had done for my master every good thing he promised concerning him and has appointed him leader over Israel, my master will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed. Abigail was good. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all do not do nothing else, I want y'all to go back and really study this. Abigail chose her words wisely. She told David, basically, when God put you in your place as king and you become ruler over everybody, you're not going to have this on your conscience. You're not going to have to worry about thinking about, man, I killed all those people just because I was hungry and somebody disrespected me. She did what she had to do to protect her husband, to protect her people, to protect herself and those that she loved. She was faithful and she was loyal. She was faithful to God and she was loyal to the people that the Lord had put her over. You have to remember this is a time and a place that women were not held to that standard, right? This is like her and the people that they were over, like she's the first lady of the church. 2020 is different than where she was coming from. But she was faithful to God. And sometimes we get it twisted. We allow our circumstances to get it flipped. We cannot be faithful and loyal to the wrong people. We have to know our assignment. We have to know where to lay our loyalty at. We have to understand that if I pop off now, that's going to affect something later. So we have to understand, like Apostle said, the long-term effects. And a lot of us don't look at the long-term effects. We look at the right now situation. The right now situation is this. And so this is how I'm going to handle this right now. So that's the fourth thing, is she was loyal and she was faithful. And she put others before her. In her loyalty and her faithfulness, she showed a lot of respect to King David. She reminded him that God would bring to his life an abundance of blessings. She reminded him, hey, you getting ready to be on. She reminded him, hey, you getting ready to be king over Israel. This is small compared to what you're getting ready to accomplish. She used wisdom. She used discernment to speak to King David and to bring about a result that was favorable to her husband and favorable to her kingdom. The fifth thing and the last thing that we can learn from Miss Abigail is to always remember when you are using a godly character, it allows God to fight your battle for you. It reminds us that we're not alone. It's nothing like using your own self, your own character, your own self, your own foul mouth, your own funky attitude, your own ratchetness, whatever you want to call it. It's nothing like using that to jack up a situation and look at God like, God, can you fix it? Yes, Lord. Yes, I know I cussed at him. Yes, Lord, I know I flipped the table. It's in the Bible, but it wasn't that time to flip the table. Jesus, can you fix it? Right? We can jack up some stuff. We can jack up some stuff. And then be looking at God like, Lord, I'm sorry, please. But no, I won't do it again. I won't do it again. And 2 days later, what we do?
Go in.
Do it again. That's because we're using our own self-character. If we could do all this on our own might, Jesus wouldn't say. Place our burdens upon him. Allow him to come into our life, right? We have to use our godly characters. We have to use them in a timely manner. We have to allow that. When we do that, my husband always say, when we do our part in a godly way, the rest of it is left up to the Lord. If I approach a crazy situation, whether I'm right or I'm wrong, and I apologize in humility, and I say, put myself in that spot, I look at God like, okay, Jesus, now you know I was right in this situation, but I went on ahead and apologized. I went on ahead and I sucked it up. Now I'm going to need you to go ahead and fight my battle for me. Because either I'm going to handle it or Jesus is going to handle it. That's how I look at it. That's how I'm talking to God. Jesus is, if I do it, I'm going to do it all wrong. Can you help me, please? That's what Abigail did. In 1 Samuel 25:32, it says, David said to Abigail, praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. So in the end, David thanked her for stopping him from committing bloodshed. Jesus didn't tell David to go down there and kill all them people because he was hungry and upset and somebody disrespected him. That was on his own might. But when we act in a godly character, no matter what the other person or the other situation or the other thing is doing, when we act in a godly character, it should force. People are stubborn these days, so it might not, or you might never know. But it should force. It should bring about some conviction, like it did here with David. It brought about some conviction with him. Huh? Oh.
No, I'm away.
Huh?
I'm away till you say
it. It should bring about some conviction. That it brought about some conviction with David. It made him realize I was acting foolishness, even though Nabal's name is foolish. I was acting crazy because of what I'm going through. I was acting whatever. My circumstances is whatever, right? And so because she did not allow what his circumstance was to taint her, and she stayed in her character, it then brought about conviction upon him to put him back in his right. See, my God, when you stay in your lane and you stay in a place where God has called you to be, not only will you bring about other people getting back in line the will of God, but you can change a whole situation. You just saved a whole generation with some humility. She just saved a whole generation with some submissiveness. Go ahead, Apostle.
You put it on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and say what you need to say.
Read that part of you. I don't want to jump ahead of your lesson, that's why.
Go ahead.
Because there's a nugget in there that you got to pull out.
Go ahead.
Read that last part that David said. Thank God.
David said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands."
Okay. Y'all excuse me, I don't feel good. That's my voice is cracking. David says, for avenging, read again.
For avenging myself.
For avenging myself.
He recognized that he wasn't doing God's work.
He recognized, number one, he wasn't doing God's work, but also he spoke a prophetic word over his own life. The prophetic word is this: Abagail becomes David's wife after her husband dies. So had he taken out all of those people, he would have literally had the bloodshed of some of his own family on his hand, to include Abagail, because David was going to kill everybody. Abigail's pretty blue eyes wasn't going to save her. He was going to kill everybody. But so he says to avenge his own self was a prophetic word, because he would have went down and killed Abigail and their sons, and he would have literally killed his own family. So even in that, he understood that, hey, I'm not operating in God's the way God would have me operate. And we all need to stop at some moment and realize, is this me or is this God? And if it's you, you probably need to stop. But two, the other thing is this: you out there buck wilding, you don't know what God has for you down the road, and you buck wilding against somebody you ain't got nobody buck wilding against. David was about to kill his own wife. He was about to kill his own, for lack of a better word, stepchildren. He was about to take of his own possessions. But not only that, the most important thing in those times were sons. So he was about to take away his own sons. But thanks be to God, Abigail had temperance, and Abigail she was able to look at the situation and say, hey, this ain't going to end well for none of us. We all going to be hurt. And that's why I put in the post, don't think Abigail disrespected her husband, right? Because the man's job is to order the home, and then the woman's job is to guide it. So she knew, hey, if David come up here, it's going to be bad. So my husband already let me know how he wants to leave the house. So let me go ahead and make sure this doesn't happen. So she goes down there fulfilling her wifely role, not disrespecting her husband, but making sure that she kept the home. A good wife looks after her home first. Her home first. It's going to piss a lot of y'all off. A good wife is not looking after herself first. She's looking after her home first. Because that's the most quintessential thing that God has entrusted her with, her children, her home. If you take care of wives to be or whatever, if you take care of your home first, God will always take care of you. Even if you're dealing with an old foolish man, take care of your home, and God will always take care of you. I'm done. I'm going back to sleep.
Amen. Monica, is 1 Samuel 25. And I pretty much went through the whole chapter of 1 Samuel 25 is where that story is.
That was a beautiful lesson. A timely character.
So if you guys have any prayer
And can I say
requests,
something else?
yes.
You got to know when it's time to speak up. She could have been like, that's King David. I can't talk to him. Sometimes you got to speak. She spoke humility to power. She spoke common sense to power. I'm not trying to be funny. That's why this dude on TV, this little orange-haired man, is tripping out like he tripping out. Because nobody will speak humility to power. Nobody will speak courage to power. Nobody will speak what's sensible to power. And she was able to do that. And because of that, look what she did. She not only saved that generation, she also saved the next generation that was going to be born from her and David. You got to know when to speak up. You prophets, if God gave you a word, don't second guess yourself. Speak the word. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. And on this day, Abigail wasn't no prophet, but on this day, Abigail spoke life. Because if you know anything about David, David was a rider. David wasn't going to leave nobody standing. But on that day, Abigail spoke life. I'm really done. I'm sorry, honey. You did an amazing job today.
He ain't there, y'all. Y'all know I like David and Peter because they like to fight. Them is my favorites in the Bible.
David was like Clint Eastwood.
David was coming.
He coming in blazing.
He was coming. He wasn't playing. He was like, oh, so you don't want to feed me? You want to give me? No? Don't worry about it. I got it.
Can you imagine David Krista? I done just fed these Negroes. I done kept them safe in the house where they live in.
I done kept them safe.
Paid all their bills, and they don't want to feed me. Let me go get mine.
I got you.
I'll be right back.
That's what they say. Remember that old commercial that said, "I'll be right back." That's what David was saying.
Got you. He did the bird call to his friends. It was like, round up.
He said, "I'll be right back."
ATM Ministries is hood, y'all.
No. But I'm just telling y'all guys, you guys get these little stories in the Bible and everything. You don't think they have no meaning
for today, and they really
so
significant.
She is so significant to how a woman should carry herself. See, we so worried about you want to just because your husband acting a fool, you got to get up and you got to act a fool too. No. Somebody got to be an adult in the room. Somebody got to be sensible in the room. And she knew, hey, David, this ain't what you want. Let me go stop this man. Let me go give him what he needs. And she didn't give him anything other than what he needed. Newsflash, stop asking people to help you with stuff you want. God blesses people through people to meet your needs. You mad because I won't give you $20 so you can go buy a picture. God bless people to give them what they need. Abigail knew, hey, he ain't asking for nothing extravagant. Really, that's the least we can do for him. Mm-hmm. Let me go down here and give this man what he needs.
Let me just say this. This is a whole side note. I don't know, want to know it's a side note, but this is what the Lord just dropped in my spirit. Back in the day, the services that David provided was so valuable. For somebody's servants to be out in the field tending to their sheep, sheep is how he got rich. That's their money. And so it's harvest season right now. And if you read this story in the Bible, it's harvest season right now. They're out there shearing sheep. So this is harvest season. That means I'm out there ching ching. I'm getting my change, getting my coins right now.
Yeah, every time I cut the sheep hair off, that's mine.
I'm trying to get my coins.
Hair off the sheep for nothing.
So David protected his coins. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Let me just say it for the, some of us still hood. David was the trap house protector. You see what I'm saying? I done protected your trap house. I done protected your goods. Now I'm a little hungry. All I need is a little change. Give me something to eat. That's it, right? Just a little low. That's all I'm saying. When David sent the 10, I don't know why God keeps taking me back to this 10. When David sent the 10 to Nabal, he did not recognize the value of the services that were provided. But then when God dropped in Abagail and said, Abagail,
the services are not the he was looking at the enjoyment of them and not the value of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why people...
He reaped the benefits of them, but didn't want to put the value to it.
This is why people, take their house. They'll take their house, and they're so happy that they got a house, they won't tend to it. It's nasty. It's dishes in the sink, floor messed up. They don't understand the value of it, what the value of it is, until it gets threatened to get taken away. And so I don't know who all these people are.
Let me tell you what I was hearing, what God was saying. So he devalued the blessing that God sent in David.
I'm going to devalue his life.
But when God dropped into Abagail, if you go back and you read verse 18, it's going to tell you all that she took him. 300, 400, what you call them, little cakes and pies and stuff.
But when you look at it, it met every need that they had. The wine met their medical needs. The food met their hunger needs. There was even stuff in there for the cattle.
So she knew the value of the service that was provided. When the servant came and said, we were out there and no harm came to us and they were nice to us, we all made it back. She knew the value of what David had done and said, this is the least that we could do. The least that we could do is to provide you with this. You have to look at the value in what God is providing you with, whether it's through people, whether it's through circumstances, whatever it is, you have to look at the value of it. You may be asking for a house, and God may give you a job that's going to pay you enough to go buy the house that you want. You think God didn't answer your prayer because he didn't give you the house. So you devaluing the job that he gave you, that's eventually going to lead you to the house. So that's our study of Miss Abagail, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope I said something that was a blessing to you. I really, honey, I really liked Abagail. So again, we will be studying women in the Bible all month long for the remainder of November and all November. If you guys have missed, if you missed, I think we kicked it off Thursday. Last Thursday, we kicked it off last Thursday. So go back and watch that Apostle Talk.
Servant always hears.
A servant always hears, and who was that through?
Rhoda.
That's right. He taught about Rhoda, Miss Rhoda.
Rhoda.
So go back and watch that. Tonight is about Abagail. If you guys have any prayer requests, post them in the comments. If this ministry has been a blessing to you, by all means, please feel free to sow a seed. You will be sowing into good ground. If this is your tithing and offering week, by all means, go ahead and pay your tithes and offering. We are feeding at least one. We are feeding at least one family this holiday season for Thanksgiving. We are hoping to do more than one, but if not, we are feeding a family, and we're going to provide them with their entire Thanksgiving dinner. They will not have to purchase anything at all. It will be all catered for them. So all of your seeds and donations will be used in that manner as well. So feel free to, if you have a little extra, sow a little extra for someone that does not have it, because we are indeed trying to do God's work this holiday season. Yes, Apostle.
I know it's a lot of new people on there, so but I know everybody know I'm the apostle. Listen, you can preach ministry all day long and it doesn't cost you a dime. But when you're trying to spread the gospel, when you're trying to show people the love of God, when you're trying to show them that God still exists, He can still provide for you even when you're not saved, stuff like that costs, right? So I want to make my plea to you directly, even though I can't be on the camera. I want you to sow into the ministry. There is a family that's not going to eat unless you sow. I want you to think about December. I know for me, Christmas don't mean nothing except for we celebrate Jesus Christ. But for a kid, it means something. For my wife, it means something. She'll be running at 12:01.
I'm a kid.
Santa ate the cookie.
So you see what I'm saying?
So,
where my stuff at?
But let's think about those who are less fortunate. It don't cost nothing but $5. That's their stuffing. Somebody else sow in $10. That might be their yams, and they gotta have greens. Somebody sow in $15. That's their turkey. It don't cost a whole lot to do something for somebody that nobody else will do.
Yeah.
And so I want you to sow along with us. And then I know some of y'all saying, well, why don't you just sow it? Well, there's another commitment to this city that we're trying to provide.
We are feeding the homeless.
We want to be able, number one, to get in our own building. Number two, once we're in our own building, we can have that building open. My desire is to have it open 5 days a week so the homeless can come and eat. School kids that may not have no parent at home can come and get help with their homework. Hey, if you got to drop your annoying grandmother off because she's out in Titfield, drop her off. We'll sit and spend time with her. We'll love on her. Those are the things we want to do. So those things cost. And I just want to say, I said it on Sunday, to all of our members, we're asking that you sow $150 seed
before the end of the year. We are looking to go into our building. We have someone actively looking for our building right now, and we truly believe that by the end of the year, they are going to present us with a building, and we definitely need the funds to be able to get in it. As you guys see, we do not just do ministry indoors. Our ministry is outside of our house, outside of our walls, outside of that. We feed um, during the holiday times. We feed the homeless as well as feed families. Christmas time, we give clothes, we give shoes, we give what's needed. Christmas time, I don't know, the summertime. It's a lot that ATN Ministry does. During the summer times, we put kids in after school programs. And so we're praying, I pray to God that this year we will be the after school program. So we have a lot that we want to do.
Even if ain't nothing but buying police officers a
Yes.
thing of water or even buying them a cup of coffee. We ran into a guy on duty at the hospital the other day. I was up there and I was really upset because I was really kind of unprepared because I would have loved to have bought him a cup of coffee because I knew he was on watch that whole night, what it looked like. But those are the things that we want to do, and those things cost money. So we just pray that God will touch your heart and you will go ahead and sow into the ministry. It's our Cash App is $ATN MIN. And then if not, you can go to our website, atnministries.org, and click our donate button. This ain't no game. This ain't no hustle. This ain't no little. We are trying to make, listen,
We're trying to live the book of
I'm
Acts.
trying to make people's lives better. And you cannot listen. I'm telling you me. Because I know you guys out there, some of y'all super religious, and y'all say just go pray for them. But if I'm hungry and I ain't ate in 3 days, I don't want to hear nothing about your prayer. Feed me, and you get me all day long.
Yes, so
I need your help.
We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. We've done a lot, and we're doing a lot, and we want to do even more next year. So, we love you guys. We think we have. I say this, and I mean this, and I say this in the most humble, non-boasting way. ATN Ministries has some of the most compassionate, some of the most supportive, some of the most loving members that I've ever met. We have, as you guys know, we have our church in India. We have members out in Nigeria. We have our whole Florida ministry. Shout out to the Floridians. We have our East
I'll
Texas.
be there in June to set up your ministry.
We haven't told y'all that yet, but
did I just let it out the bag?
Just let the cat out the bag. But we'll talk about that another time. But we will. We have our East Texas family here, and all of us together that make up ATN Ministries. We are so grateful for you guys. We love you guys. It is nothing that we cannot do without you guys, and so we appreciate you. And again, if you guys have prayer requests, post them. We always go back and read them and pray over them. If you guys need us, inbox us. If not, we will see you Sunday. Okay, so.
And this is, go ahead just real quick before you say that. We have multiple businesses. So if you own a business, I want you to go to the ministry page, post your business on there, tell people what you do.
So
some people may want your service.
Before you do that, I want you to inbox me your business stuff and your information and things like that. Every Wednesday.
I'm talking about our members.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
Because I can't post on the page.
Why can't they?
I don't have it set up to where they can post a private post on there. So that's why I was saying inbox me your business stuff and what you're doing, and so that way we can post it on the page for you. Because I don't have it set up to where people can post on it. But if you inbox it to me, send me your flyers, send me your information, I'll tag all your information and post it. Then I'll share it and be able to tag all of our members in it. Wednesdays is our business day. That's what we tell all of our members. If you need something done, whether you need flyers made, whether you need something with business, to contact me, of course. And that's our ministry business day. So on Wednesdays, I'm going to begin to post all of our businesses that everybody has, links to their pages and everything. So if you want to be a part of that, inbox me your information. I don't care if you're selling eyelashes, if you're selling lip gloss, if you're selling nails, whatever it is. Nothing is too small to say, hey, let me make some little change off of this, okay? So inbox us that, and then I will look into, because I think Apostle wants you guys to be able to post yourselves on there. So then I'll have to go back and look at the page and see how to set it up to where you guys can actually post on it. Okay. Sunday. So Sunday, as you know, ATN Ministries has started our time change due to daylight savings. Our now service starts at 1 o'clock. So for the rest of the month, we're doing virtual services only. And so we will actually be on air at 1 o'clock. So you don't have to wait till 1:30 to catch the sermon. We'll actually be on air at 1 o'clock. And so we'll do a little bit of praise and worship and stuff like that, have some prayer, and get into the word. All right. I think I've covered all of our announcements. So I will see you all Sunday at 1 o'clock. We love you. God bless you all. Have a good night.